For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greeting, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the insurrection. I'm Michael Lauer, and today I'm joined by author, columnist, and host of Ringside Politics, Jeff Cruere. How you doing this morning, Jeff?
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me. Doing great.
Well, thanks for being here, and it's Friday. Happy Friday. And looks like the world may have its first trillionaire right now, too. Apparently, the IPO's out, been released for SpaceX, and by the end of the day, Elon Musk could be the world's first trillionaire. I guess I should have bought some SpaceX. Should have invested in there 3 years ago.
I have listeners on my program that were looking to buy today, and more power to them. I mean, listen, he's just a fabulous success story. I mean, you have to just stand back and just in amazement at what he's accomplished, through SpaceX, through, Tesla, of course, X. I mean, it's just, he's an incredible businessman and so successful. So, hey, I give him a lot of credit, and, he deserves all this money. I mean, he's the entrepreneur. He's been able to follow through on these brilliant ideas. He's put a good team together, and SpaceX is a big success.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at some of the new inventions that he's either brought to the world or ideas that he's brought to fruition, from the Tesla line of vehicles, Starlink, and then what he's done now, really saving NASA with these rockets. And his future plans. Well, again, at least he'll use the money wisely, I guess, until he starts building a supervillain lair somewhere. If he buys an island that looks like a giant skull, then maybe we need to reconsider things. But yeah, if anybody's earned it, he has. But I want to jump into our main story here. One of your recent articles up on Town Hall, the invasion of the ballot snatchers. Now, we've been talking about this in California now for over 2 weeks, ever since the election results started coming in, and then they shifted. Oh, I should have grabbed that graph that showed how somehow the mail-in voters, they knew that that Nikki Rahman needed a little boost, that they could stop voting for Karen Bass. Her numbers fell off. Pratt's fell off. I think everybody expected, they'd shift things there. And all of a sudden, Nikki Rahman, you know what? She went from getting 20-something% of the vote to it basically doubled. I don't know how are these voters in California so smart?
Well, I mean, it just defies expectations. It's statistically impossible.
Yes.
I mean, she was so convinced that she had lost on election night. She gave a concession speech. She cried. But the late votes, the mail-in ballots that come in after election day, mysteriously were 40% for her, more than Karen Bass, more than double what Spencer Pratt had, even though the votes that were collected by, of course, election day, Pratt was well ahead of her.
Yeah.
So that's why people are saying, hey, this is fraudulent. This is corrupt. The California Democrats say, no, this is just how we do it. You don't have any evidence. That's what Kristen Welker was telling President Trump and Meet the Press. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Well, the evidence is right before our face. I mean,
Yeah.
I've also, shared, Mike, the clips of the homeless saying that they were paid to vote. There's evidence right there. They're paying homeless to vote.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna get more to that here in a minute. But when you have a batch of ballots come in, 14,000 votes and none go to Spencer Pratt, like that's an impossibility. I keep saying the same stupid line, but you can go to the gayest block in San Francisco, and you're still gonna find Spencer Pratt voters there. I mean, I watched an interview with some transvestite in San Francisco, where he said he was voting for Spencer Pratt, basically because he was tired of getting assaulted by homeless people and having to step over human feces and dirty needles in the streets. This guy probably doesn't align with you or I on anything else politically, but it's gotten to the point where it's just sheer insanity there. And there's numerous examples of this, like of street polling, even from LA TV news stations, where we're clearly trying to dissuade people from voting for Pratt. When they'd go around talking to people, like, yeah, this is out of control, this is out of hand, that something has to change. They didn't care. Well, if I got to vote for Spencer Pratt to improve things, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, and let's not forget, I mean, a fire burned down a big portion of the city. You had thousands of homes that were lost. Only 34 had been rebuilt. So the pace of recovery was incredibly slow. The incompetence that led to the fire was astounding. Karen Bass wasn't even in the country at the time. She was in Ghana.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all the different factors that would lead you and I to believe that some traditional Democrats and independents were going to vote for a guy who's a change agent, who is expressing the outrage of people, who lost his own home in the fire. And then I also point to the polls. Now, my view on polls is that they skew toward the left. The way the questions are asked, the pollsters' ideology tend to, inflate the numbers of the Democrat. And the last poll that I saw in Los Angeles showed Spencer Pratt slightly ahead of Karen Bass. So we're to believe that those polls were so far off and that he actually came in third place, not first place. I don't think so. I think it was manipulated. It was obviously fraudulent. I hope this U.S. attorney that is investigating in California will bring charges.
Yeah, Bill Asaley said that there's going to be some pending charges. I've heard some other kind of interesting analysis too, that part of the problem in California is essentially they've changed their laws to legalize fraud in a lot of cases, to allow for this mass ballot manipulation, ballot harvesting, and essentially to create loopholes where they can steal these votes. And besides just Spencer Pratt, it's the governor's race too. I mean, Steve Hilton has been consistently in the number one spot for basically this entire election season. I mean, going back 6 months, I remember covering, Hilton was in first, the sheriff's in second, the Democrats were scrambling for third. It shifted a few times. Katie Porter for a little while, then it was Swalwell, then it was I can't remember who was next. Yeah, and well, he was the latest. He all of a sudden surged at the end. But again, this guy might be in jail before they hold the election. His other two co-defendants in the case have already pled guilty. So again, I have trouble believing that this is the candidate all the Democrats suddenly coalesced around without some a little push, some assistance, if you will. But we are starting to. Oh, go ahead.
The same thing happened, as you pointed out, to Steve Hilton. I mean, he lost votes. The recount brought up Tom Steyer's numbers. The gap was just too big, and they couldn't steal it completely. So Steve Hilton's in the runoff. I mean, I've got no confidence that he's going to win because of the fraudulent system out there, that they're going to allow a Republican to win as governor. So, I mean, until we get reform, until we end this practice, I don't think Republicans have a chance in California. How many times over the years, Mike, have we seen congressional elections where the night of the election, there's a Republican congressional candidate in California leading. And then after the next few weeks of counting, the Republican mysteriously loses and the Democrat somehow gets these congressional seats. And it's happened time and time again.
Well, yeah, and in 2024, this happened with 5 different Republican seats in California. They counted for over 30 days. I think it was 34 days until they found enough votes to change things. I mean, statistically, you should have votes coming in roughly the same distribution, no matter what time they're cast. Now, if it was really early mail-in votes and there's some kind of shakeup, maybe there'll be a little bit of a difference between votes that were cast 30 days before Election Day. But that's also why we shouldn't have election season. That's why we should go back to having Election Day. Yeah,
Right.
and only having mail-in votes for those that absolutely need them. If you
Right.
really are
The
disabled.
elderly, right.
Yeah,
Can't get to the polls. Right.
yeah,
And
because I
you
mean,
know what? It should be all counted that night. Steve Hilton pointed out something, Mike, that India can count 640 million votes in a day, and
yeah.
California can't count theirs. And I think, what is it, 16 million in California? I mean, that's
Yeah.
just pathetic.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at Florida. You can get accurate election results, within two to 4 hours after the polls close. They were embarrassed in 2000. They corrected things, and they haven't had a real problem since then. Um, what's going on in California is not an election. This is grand theft liberty at scale, and everybody knows it. But the media again is in denial. They're out there playing cover for them. And my other question is, why is it that when you have these late breaking votes, they always go one direction? It's never, oh, we found a bunch of ballots for the Republican. Suddenly they're up 2,000. It's always one sided. It never changes anywhere. This idea to, I mean, I guess the last thing on the voting side of this, but I don't understand how it can take a mail-in vote weeks to arrive in California. Like, I've mailed plenty of things in state, and I can't think of one example where it took. I mean, normally it arrives next day here. If you drop at the post office before like 2 p.m. in Ohio, even if you're sending something from Dayton to Cleveland, it's going to show up the next day. Maybe 2 days, worst case scenario, if you're dropping it at the very end of the day. But even then, a lot of these, the letters all go out. They go right to the airport for sorting after 5 p.m. And most times, again, 24 hours, it's going to show up.
Well, here's my thought. I mean, okay, I like in person voting. Okay,
Yes.
I despise this mail-in, universal mail-in balloting in states that have it, like 8 states that do, mostly Western states that have this, plus Vermont, I think Hawaii.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do it, you've got to say, all right, it's got to be in by 5 p.m. on election day, or 8 p.m. on election day, whatever the final
Yeah.
tally is, or it can't be counted. And that's why the Supreme Court decision that is coming up that could have major implications on this, we're awaiting it. And hopefully it'll say that you cannot accept mail-in ballots past election day. And
Yeah.
if you want to vote by mail, you got to get it in early. Okay. You got to get it in
Yeah.
by election day, and mail it a week early if you're worried about the mail service. Mail it 2 weeks early, whatever.
Well, exactly. I mean, I've had to do a mail-in ballot at least in two different elections. One because I was volunteering, I was a poll watcher, and the other I really was going to be out of state. There was nothing I could do about it. It was a work trip I had to take. But anyway, I mailed the ballot in right after I got it in the mail a month ahead of time. Both times. I might have had it in my possession for 24 hours, but I'm fine with them taking ballots up to midnight. If there are still trucks coming in, there are legitimate ballots from polling locations or from the mail or whatever, and they're showing up till midnight. Nothing past that. Again, if you can't be responsible enough to mail the ballot in 2-3 days ahead of time, because I mean, again, that's all it takes, then maybe you shouldn't be voting. Maybe it wasn't a high enough priority for you. But we are starting to get at least some pushback. Trump admin suspends federal funds from Los Angeles Homeless Agency amid fraud probe. And it's actually multiple agencies. And it is because of what you and I discussed earlier, them buying the votes. Again, this is recorded. James O'Keefe, many others went down to Skid Row, where residents were paid to vote in L.A. Mayor's race. They were paid to vote for Karen Bass or Nikki Rahman. It's caught on video. There were also videos months before that of them paying for signatures on actually something that Newsom actually went after, and that was people against his tax law to tax millionaires and billionaires. But
And
you know,
they also pay him in cigarettes besides
yeah,
cash. So that's another way. And it's really a sad thing. They're manipulating these poor people.
yeah,
And that's another issue that Spencer Pratt brought up in the race. I mean, the homeless situation is out of control there in California. They're giving them needles. I mean, they're giving them drug paraphernalia to increase their addiction on drugs. They're not getting them the help they need. The homeless
No.
population is booming. All this money is being wasted. They're not solving it. They're just making it worse. And he
Yeah.
was, on fire on that issue. And I think he was connecting with a lot of people. And this vote buying just exposes how these poor people are being used by
Yeah.
the powers that be.
Yeah, and the fact that they're giving them $2, $3, $4, $5 for their vote. I mean, I saw in the other videos that some of I can't remember if it was James O'Keefe's videos or it was one of the other activists. But anyway, that paying for voter registration, where they're signing them all up for their mail will be delivered at an address that the activist controls, and then everybody knows what's happening. The votes are all or the ballots then all flood in before the election. I'm sure they have an army of people that then fill them out. I mean, the signature thing is just ridiculous too, where people are signing as witnesses with smiley faces or just scribbles, X's. I mean, did you see the? Whoops, sorry. Did you see the thing on California's SOS Secretary of State website where they showed as a lawful signature a drawing of the Nintendo character Kirby, the little pink puffball thing? That is on their website as a valid, acceptable signature.
It's just a joke. I mean, it's infuriating, the whole setup. And then when you go back to these homeless people, I mean, they're getting underpaid for their
Yeah,
ballots. I mean, $2. I mean, can you imagine what they're paying illegals for their votes? I mean, sure, these illegals are getting maybe hundreds of dollars for their vote, and they're
yeah,
giving these people on Skid Row too. I mean, it's just so fraudulent, and the whole system is crazy. Kevin McCarthy pointed out that before Gavin Newsom got there, in California, you could get the election results by election night or the next day.
yeah,
Now, it's this process, as we talked about, that just takes forever. So, he's just destroyed the elections out there, like he's destroyed the economy, like he's destroyed everything else.
yeah.
And that's why California's a state where people want to get the hell out of and move to states that function better.
Pretty much. I mean, I'm sure there'll be he'll be the U-Haul salesman of the year again, unless Mamdani really gives him a run for his money. But I mean, it really is disgusting, like the downfall there, and everybody knows it. That's the other problem. Is like this isn't a surprise to anybody. We've been watching this slow motion suicide in California for 20 years now. It's not getting any better. It's not going to get any better unless they make a change. And it looks like even if the people want to make a change, that the Democrat power structure is not going to allow that.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't have been too
Also, they
surprised.
also stole the vote. They also stole the vote on the tax increase.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It,
people initially voted against it, and then after the additional counting, oh my goodness, it passed. So their sales taxes are going to get jacked up, and the people that remain there are going to get penalized. So I mean, they're getting it coming and going. I mean, they're getting such bad services, high taxes, crime, filth, drugs, homelessness. Rampant fires that they don't prepare for. I mean, that used to be the state to go to, the Golden State. We used to say,
yeah.
"Oh boy, I'd love to live in California." I mean, it's just so gorgeous. But boy, not now.
No, and it's such a tragedy. It was always an American icon. Everybody wanted to live in California, beautiful weather all the time. Hollywood, trend. They were trendsetters for across the entire country. I really hope they're not a trendsetter anymore because I don't want homeless meth zombies in my neighborhood. Um,
Right.
But and their leadership doesn't either. But yeah, the tax is another great one. Yeah, that it was defeated on election night, but wouldn't you know it, those late voters, 62 or 63% of them, I can't remember the number now.
Just love
They
taxes.
Yeah, they just love taxes. They wanted to save it. Yeah, maybe it was all the homeless people because they're probably not really paying them. Well, I guess it's sales tax. So you got to pay that even on your 40 ounces and your 4 packs of value beer.
Right. I mean, if they go to the convenience store, they're having to pay it, right? I mean, whatever money they collect from people, they have to pay those taxes when they go get their alcohol or their processed food or whatever they're
Yeah,
buying. I mean, it's just so sad, and we got to do something about it. And they're not going to do anything about it. The leadership there because they benefit from it.
yeah.
So it's going to have to be something from the outside, from the federal government.
Yeah, and I mean that's another story that's been over there is a lot of these homeless industrial complex entities that the same people on the ballot were the ones sending them money. Now again, there's not necessarily a direct connection on that yet, but again, when you look at it in totality, it's pretty obvious what's going on. But you know what we really need again is a change to our election laws. But for whatever reason, these spineless weasels in the Senate, despite the fact that approval for the SAVE Act has gone up, not down, in the last 3 months, that it's up to an 85 to 87% approval rating, but we still can't get any of our senators act. But Trump just attached the Save America Act to the Senate's next budget vote to force Republicans to actually do something. I don't know if that'll work. I can't figure out a real reason why any of these rhinos, these undocumented Democrats in the Senate, wouldn't get behind the SAVE Act. I mean, voter ID is common through most of the Western world. Even in a lot of the third world, they require proof of who you are and where you live before they'll let you vote. This is normal. I don't buy this racist argument. I don't know one black person that doesn't know how to get an ID. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's a
Um,
racist argument to say that black
yeah,
folks can't get ID. I mean, you what black folks don't have the money, don't have the intelligence to get an ID. Last time I checked, a lot of black folk, most every black person I've met has an ID because they needed to drive, they needed to cash a check. I mean, needed to rent
yeah.
a car, you needed to go to the grocery and buy, cigarettes or beer. I mean, yeah, you need an ID, and somehow they don't have it. I don't buy it. That's so ridiculous.
No.
That's again a racist argument.
No, and if there is somebody that doesn't know how to get an ID, maybe they shouldn't be voting. If you can't figure that out, or you're still terrified to go in the DMV, I don't really care. I mean, that's your problem. That's your cross to bear, as far as I'm concerned. At this
Right.
point, we're not going to start accepting belt buckles, insurance cards, and whatever else like they are out in California now. Again, this is ludicrous. The Save Act needs to get pushed through, and honestly, it doesn't go far enough. We need real election reform because, California is demonstrating, it's the
Well,
corruption on the voter rolls.
it's just the first step, really. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
a minor step. You got to be a citizen to register. You have to have voter ID to vote. It's very minimal. I mean, it's not the comprehensive electoral form we need, as you point out.
yeah,
It's just a step in the right direction, and still, that is a bridge too far for the Democrats and these rhinos. These rhinos running around the Senate, and we've got one here in Louisiana who's turned into a really horrible rhino, Bill Cassidy. Now that he lost the
yeah,
primary, we can't count on him for anything good. Cornyn's the same way. You got McConnell, you got Murkowski, you got Susan Collins, who's always, teetering on the edge and barely delivering anything. You got Tillis, who is, viciously anti-Trump.
yeah.
So, I mean, you got so many of these guys. McConnell, what about McConnell? He's not helping on anything. So,
Dude,
it's a bad situation in the Senate.
I don't know if McConnell even knows what planet he's on anymore. I mean, this guy's, cocaine Mitch has been brain dead since he started blue screening
It's
2 years
not
ago.
guy, he's falling. He's falling down. I mean, he
Yeah,
can't walk, and he keeps falling and stumbling and hurting himself. And I mean, boy, do we need term limits or do we need term limits? My goodness. I mean, the poster child for term limits there. This guy's been there a few decades too long.
yeah. I mean, the Senate is not supposed to be a convalescence home for losers. And criminals, frankly. This has got to change. I mean, and again, we talked about this, ad nauseum with Democrats wheeling in the corpse of I just blanked on her
Dianne
name,
Feinstein.
Dianne Feinstein, so she could make one last vote. She voted the wrong way one time and couldn't figure it out. Her aides had to go back and correct her. She started to give a floor speech of some hallucination she had a few days before she died.
And
Um,
remember, I think Robert KKK Byrd died in the Senate, and maybe Strom Thurmond did too. I mean, so it's a bipartisan problem. I mean,
yeah,
these people don't want to ever leave. Another one is Chuck Grassley. I mean, he's in his 90s. I mean, he's
yeah,
been there forever, and McConnell stayed way too long, and McCain stayed too long, and it just goes on and on and on, and yeah, it's a serious, serious problem. And I think recently, I don't know if there's a House Republican that hasn't been seen in months. I don't know if he ever has showed up, and I don't know where
yeah.
he is,
He
what happened to him.
He did finally make contact with leadership there, and I guess he had been out for surgery. People did know this; it just wasn't publicized for some reason. But he's dealing with, I think it's cancer, and he's had to have a couple surgeries. But is expected back soon. But you have the same thing with Frederica Wilson on the Democrat side too. And I just still don't know if they know what happened to her. They had to confirm she was still alive because at first people thought she was dead, and they just didn't bother to tell anybody. Um, but yeah, I mean,
There was a Republican 2 years ago that was in a nursing home for a long
yeah,
time.
yeah, down in Texas,
Or something in Texas, and
Katie Granger.
nobody knew. And all of a sudden, some investigative reporter found her there. So,
In the dementia ward.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I'm wondering how many of these people really have dementia that are still, quote, serving. And you mentioned Mitch McConnell looks like he's mentally compromised. But I mean, hey, we can't be surprised. We had a mentally incompetent president, Joe Biden, for 4 years.
Yeah, pretty much. We've already lived under dementia, but you got another great article over here on Town Hall. Again, if you're not following Jeff's work, go check it out. Last hurrah of the Rhino establishment, and I want to add something to this because this is what we're seeing. You kind of touched on it already, but like Cornyn and a lot of these losers that just lost their races are getting pushed out. They're now making it their mission to stop Trump's agenda, the American people's agenda, from now till the end of the year, until they're pushed out of office and finally replaced. I mean, once again, it's disgusting. I just saw this interview with Cornyn where he did admit he was out there lying on the campaign trail that, oh yeah, I was just telling the voters what they wanted to hear, but this time I'm going to vote, especially now, now the burden's off. I don't have to pretend to be anything or do anything. I don't have to smile for the cameras. It's going to be an all out assault. And, I've been saying this for months now, but 2028, we have to win the presidency, but the other thing we really have to do is it's got to be rhino season. We need to start primarying these losers. There's 20 something of them that voted for this Dignidad Act. Every last one of them should have a bullseye on their back. That's the amnesty bill. Every one of them should be removed. I know if you snuck through the primaries, but there's got to be a real effort. The Democrats, at least I know they don't like me, that they're going to attack me. The rhinos, though, they stab us in the back every time, and we don't do anything about it.
Lisa Murkowski is Exhibit A, in my opinion. She is, because Tillis is leaving, McConnell is leaving, Cornyn is leaving, Cassidy is leaving. Collins is the best we can do there, so we're going to have to be stuck with that rhino if she wins. But as far as Alaska, we can do better in Alaska. Alaska is not a super left-wing state. I mean, Alaska is not Maine. You have a lot of people there that are very conservative. So, and that's the home of Sarah Palin. I mean, we've got to be able to get someone in there that can get rid of Murkowski, because she is horrible. So that's coming up. I think 28 is when she's up for re-election.
I believe so. But you know what happened in the last race? It was her with another Republican, but the Senate campaign fund spent $9 million once Kelly Kobayashi, and sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name, she's a conservative American of Japanese descent. Her family owned a fishing company up there. She was a great candidate. But the Senate spent $9 million on a Republican versus Republican race so their rhino could keep her seat. And they just spent $60 million to try to save Cornyn's ass down in Texas. That didn't work. $60 million. How many seats could we have picked up if they had spent that money elsewhere on toss-up races, or maybe, targeting a weak Democrat somewhere?
Another example is Louisiana. Millions were spent for Bill Cassidy.
Yeah.
So you have them going to bat for these people that are, basically Democrats. And that's our problem with the Republican Party. I mean, the leadership in the Congress is terrible. You don't have enough true conservatives. You've got people that are in positions of power that are rhinos. And Thune, I think, is a big rhino. So, I mean, I think Johnson's a little better, but I mean, he's certainly no Newt Gingrich. So,
no.
Yeah, I mean, we got problems. We got problems.
Yeah, we've really got to sort it out because, I mean, this is the problem. This is one of has led to this issue we should be going into this election cycle with everybody pumped and primed, ready to go and ready to move our agenda forward. But the problem is, in the last 18 months, we've been slapped in the face by the House and the Senate over and over and over again. Like, people are not excited to go out and vote for their candidates. They're staying home. That's why we've had this decrease in turnout in these primaries in most states. And it's not all of them. I mean, there's races people are excited about that have record turnout. Like, there was a few of those in Texas like that. But by and large, in most of these primaries that we've seen so far, turnout's down as much as 30% in a lot of states, and
That's
it's
among
because
Republicans, but then the Democrats are
correct.
energized because the
Yes.
Democrats want to take power. So their base, their radical leftist, crazy base, they're fired up.
Yeah.
So I think what 30 special elections that they've won, and Republicans have won none.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're on a winning streak. They don't care. They're gonna elect a guy with a Nazi tattoo and a anti-Catholic, anti-veteran, communist, anti-woman candidate who's got more baggage than anybody since Bill Clinton, and
Yeah.
they're going to put him in as their candidate. So I mean, they'll do anything these Democrats to win.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem. I mean, they don't really care about most of these platitudes they pretend to espouse, because as soon as they've got their candidate they think can win, it doesn't matter if he has a Nazi tattoo on his chest, he was messaging girls online while he was married, or all the other stuff that's come out about Graham Plattner. But then again, he's running against Susan Collins. And honestly, when I look at that race, I'm like, well, which of these two really is worse? Because, she's been a thorn in our side, but I guess we can get a vote out of her every once in a while. But this guy's insane. He's one of several Democrats that are running right now that have promised, one, he wants to pack the Supreme Court. Two, he wants to impeach the people on the Supreme Court. Three, he said, well, hey, any J6er that wasn't already prosecuted and therefore given a pardon by Trump, it's open season on them. And he's not the only one that's saying he wants to prosecute other people that were in the Capitol on January 6th. So, guys, this is what we're going to get. They're telling us.
Yeah, they're still living in January 6th. I mean, that's still, to them like yesterday, and they keep bringing it up. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I think these people were brutalized. They were mistreated. They were characterized as rioters, or most of them were very peaceful. I mean,
Yep.
the vast majority of the people just walked in. I mean, there were pastors and moms and grandmas and people with flags and Bibles, and then you wound up throwing the book at them and throwing them in jail and gulags, not giving them due process. Yeah, I think we have a need for a weaponization fund. Yeah, I think these people deserve compensation. I think these
Oh, yeah.
people are entitled to lots of money because some of them had years of their life taken away, all because they were protesting a stolen election. They weren't
Yeah.
up there to overthrow the government. They weren't up there to harm anybody. They were just up there to protest an election that was stolen. And I guarantee the election of 2020 was stolen.
Oh, absolutely. And there's very few people out of all the arrests, all the imprisonments from January 6th that actually participated in any level of violence whatsoever.
Right. Right.
Even a lot of the ones that did have assault or something else in there, this wasn't actual assault. It was pushing a sign out of their way, something like that. One guy literally, even the police officer he air quote assaulted at his trial said no, that he had put his hand on him, he fell forward, he fell into the police officer, but they treated it as if it was an assault, an actual assault case.
A lot of them were responding to violence upon them. I mean, they were
Yes.
being hit by police officers, so they responded in kind. Some of them were trying to save lives of people that were killed that day. Trump supporters that were killed,
Yeah.
Roseanne Boylan and others. Obviously, Ashley Babbitt was killed,
Yeah.
and the killer was promoted and given a raise and given more protection at his house and every accommodation. He wasn't prosecuted like he should have been. So I think there is a story on J6 that conservatives can continue to push because, again, President Trump wanted the National Guard there. Nancy Pelosi wouldn't provide it. The mayor of D.C. didn't provide it.
Yep.
So the problems there can all be traced back to that. They didn't have adequate security. Why? Because they wanted what happened to happen, right?
Well, yeah, and in a lot of ways, they instigated it. I mean, that crowd on one side of the building was just standing there peacefully, and all of a sudden they're getting showered with tear gas and having pepper balls and rubber bullets fired into the crowd. Again, if this situation were reversed, if this were Antifa somewhere, there would be a national investigation, police officers going to jail, we'd be awarding them millions of dollars. We'd probably already have a monument up to them. But again, you have this inversion of reality that the left's embraced. And that's the only narrative the media will go with, no matter how much evidence is presented to them. But yeah, this weaponization fund, I mean, it's just pathetic how many air quote Republicans, immediately turned against this. You had over 20 of them side with the Democrats promised to block it, not to mention the statements and everything else. But $2 billion isn't even close to enough to cover all the damages because it's well beyond January 6th. It's all the school board parents that were attacked, the anti-abortion.
Mass, Latin mass adherents,
Yeah.
pro-life people. We can go on and on. The people that were targeted by the Biden administration that deserved compensation. What about all the people that didn't believe in the COVID shot? And the people were trying to just protect their own health. I mean, so much abuse that administration inflicted upon people. Yeah, we need lots of people to be compensated, and it's fair. It's not unfair. It's totally fair.
Well, look at all the people, too, that were deplatformed by the request of the government. We know that this was going on behind the scenes. The Twitter files showed us that. We know there's more at Facebook. Zuckerberg's admitted that they were pushed into censoring different stories and blocking individuals. So, this is something that went on en masse at the request of the federal government. And it hasn't been rectified. It needs to be. People do need to be compensated. And honestly, again, this is one of the few, the Trump administration, the DOJ, has got to get their ass in gear and actually start prosecuting people and making some arrests within the deep state. Otherwise, we're never going to solve the problem. If you just leave them in place there and pretend things are better, then they're just going to spring right back into action the minute they control the White House again. I don't think they're going to have great odds in 2028. But I think, sometime after that, they'll eventually get in. And, as Brennan said, he still has his legion of supporters. They're embedded in the intelligence agencies and federal law enforcement. We've got to clean up the problem.
When Democrats take power, they don't look back. They don't hesitate. They don't equivocate. They just act. They move forward. Look at Biden during his first 2 years. They passed series after series of dangerous, radical legislation. The Democrats didn't, have disunity. They didn't have a division. They just got it done. They got in their people. They didn't keep Trump people in positions of power. The Senate confirmed his judges, confirmed his nominees. Under this administration, we've had no cooperation from the Congress. We can't get the DOJ in gear. Now, maybe this new attorney general would be, I think he is going to be better than Pam Bondi. But, as you say, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We need U.S. attorney positions to be filled that haven't been filled. Judges that haven't been nominated. What are they waiting for? If the Democrats take control of the Senate, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, well, honestly, we need a real AG, too, because Blanche is the one, behind the scenes that blocked the weaponization committee originally. He disbanded it. He went after Ed Martin. And
now is a permanent AG.
Yeah, well, he's got to go. He's part of the problem. And again, we got to deal with this reality. Yeah, he did some stuff for the cameras, going after the SPLC and others. But again, that was an old case he picked back up. It's 3 years old. Right. But he's the one that's been the heart of a lot of this problem. Even Dan Bongino said, well, the DAG, the Deputy Attorney General, that's where the real power is. That's who controls the soldiers on the ground. That Bondi was more of a mouthpiece. She was there to go out in Fox News and be in front of the cameras. Well, we know that Blanche, the minute that Ed Martin and Bill Pulte started going after people for mortgage fraud, the minute he went after Schiff and Swalwell, they started an investigation into Ed Martin and Bill Pulte rather than going after the criminals. He dismantled the weaponization committee without even telling Trump. So, this guy is an undocumented, he's a lifelong Democrat. He didn't convert to be a Republican until 2024. He's a problem. These are his friends, the corrupt attorneys within the Department of Justice. So we've got to get a real fighter up there and actually do something.
Here's the problem. Every person that President Trump has nominated to be attorney general, there have been problems with. Jeff Sessions, Bill Barr was no picnic. He was terrible. Pam Bondi was terrible. And now what you're saying about Todd Blanche. So, when are we going to get someone as attorney general that Eric Holder was for Barack Obama? Remember, he said he was his wingman.
Yep.
When are we going to get a wingman in as attorney general?
Yeah, well, we don't need a wingman. We need a killer. We need somebody that's going to go in there and actually take these people out and dismantle their organization, because otherwise it's going to be more of the same. If we don't prosecute these people now, no one ever will. And whether it's the deep state, the Epstein class or whoever, if you don't remove these people that are running a supra government, orchestrating things from behind the scenes, then it's only going to continue. Maybe they'll sit in the shadows for a little while while Trump's the president because they won't be able to be as effective. But the minute they can grab the reins of power again, they will, and they'll be protected. That's the problem.
They're just going to wait out Trump, and
Yeah.
right now they're given the opportunity to do that because there's no cleaning house going on all over the place. So we're in a fix, and hopefully we can force people to take some action
Yeah.
because
Hopefully so. Sorry. Go ahead.
I said time is ticking. I mean, we're
Yeah.
losing valuable time here with all these distractions and all these other things that are taking up attention. When as you say, the deep state is fully in charge and they're still fully in place.
Correct. Yeah, there have to be consequences. Well, let's shift gears. The other big story here in the U.S. right now, black activism in America has become a cultural poison. It's a great article. It's up on Liberty Daily right now. You should check it out. But this is, about the response, obviously, in the Carmelo Anthony case, because things are just getting like unhinged, out of control. CBS gives murderer's parents airtime to lie about all-white jury and claims he didn't intend to hurt anyone. I mean, this guy's. But by the way, I misstated this the other day, and I think I did correct myself yesterday. But all this money they raised on Give, Send, Go or GoFundMe, whichever one it was, they didn't spend any. This guy was a public defender there. That was his attorney at the case. They don't even have the money left for to file his appeal. I guess they're out there begging for it again because once you're convicted, Give, Send, Go. Once you're a convicted murderer, they take your page down. So they're also unhappy about that. The jury wasn't all white. He obviously attacked this kid. His lawyer tried to say, well, maybe Austin Metcalf just walked into the knife. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe he stabbed himself. I mean, it's insanity. But people believe this nonsense.
Well, and we've had this kind of revision thinking going on ever since George Floyd. I mean,
Yeah.
George Floyd was a drug addict who was not killed by the police officer. We'll go back further. Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. Told
Yeah, that
all the
never
lies.
happened.
Go back,
Yeah.
Trayvon Martin, all the lies about Trayvon Martin. So all these things, have been continuing now, and now we got this case. Uh,
Yeah.
this kid was killed for no reason. He died in the arms of his brother. 20
Mm-hmm.
witnesses said that Carmelo Anthony was the aggressor.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Metcalf didn't have a weapon. Austin Metcalf, other witnesses said, refused to fight this guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't looking for any kind of fight with Carmelo Anthony, so he was just murdered. And the parents have been so of Austin Metcalf have been so gracious and forgiving.
Yeah.
I mean, and for that they're getting death threats, and now some of these activists are saying that that Hunter Metcalf, the twin brother of Austin, needs to go, needs to be
Yep.
killed because he was somehow the aggressor. I mean, it's insanity. These people should be charged with crimes. I mean,
Yeah.
again, what are they protesting? They're protesting a murderer.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the Luigi Mangione guy. I mean, he's a murderer of a healthcare executive. You have people protesting that he's being prosecuted. I mean, what's going on in our country? What, murderers are being elevated as what, heroes?
Yeah, well, it's an inversion of reality, and that's part of the problem. I mean, these people believe things that are demonstrably false or insane. Part of the reason he was not allowed to argue self-defense in court is because of proportional response laws in Texas. You can't escalate if somebody. Even if Austin Metcalf did push him or put a hand on him, that doesn't justify stabbing him in the heart. It's not a proportional response. Had he shoved him back, that would be a proportional response to what happened.
Right.
And if you're escalating up to lethality, you have to have a reasonable suspicion that your life is in danger or you're in danger of great bodily harm. Again, clearly not the case, and even the defense's witnesses attest to that point that, again, he was the aggressor. He appeared to have wanted to instigate a fight. And, until we get people back to some level of reality. I just don't know how we fix this, but part of the problem is, again, when you have the media propping up that viewpoint or ignoring other, obvious problems here. How Carmelo Anthony's family spent massive legal defense fundraising haul draws questions. Oh man, I should have grabbed this video of Austin Metcalf's, of Anthony Carmelo's father. This is from several months ago. Uh, yeah, yelling at the haters because they raised all this money online. He just bought himself a new Tesla. They rented this mansion down there. They blew through all their money, and
And
now
you
they've
know,
got nothing left.
let's also talk about the supporters of Carmelo Anthony. I mean, they were committing, violent acts against just random white people, accusing them of being on the jury.
Yeah,
So you had a few white folks who were attacked for no good reason. They weren't on the jury.
yeah.
And then you had threats against the white community in general.
Hmm.
So, I'm looking for, I guess, the NAACP, black leadership to condemn this because these are racist threats. These are irresponsible. Okay. There's no justification for any of it. Yet I've heard crickets from quote unquote black leadership.
Yeah, you're not going to hear anything. You're going to have individuals come out and speak, but they're mostly going to be on the right. I mean, I've seen several great videos on that from you know conservative activists who happen to be black, or even several pastors and others that have come out and said this is madness. But yeah, this is the second incident here. Black woman in Florida films herself punching random white man while ranting that he was on the Carmelo Anthony jury. Second attack and new trend of racially motivated
So
assaults?
my
Question mark.
question is this woman going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law? I
She
mean,
should be.
she just beat up some guy in Florida? I mean,
Yeah,
in Florida?
two of
Went
them in
he went
Florida.
from
Both victims.
to Florida?
Both of them have been in Florida that have been accused of being on the jury and then assaulted. Which again,
That's
wrong.
insane. That's insane.
Yeah, exactly. This doesn't add up. Well, it gets worse, believe it or not. So, sickening. Deranged ghoul with over 10,000 Instagram followers posts photo appearing to urinate on Austin Metcalf's grave while demanding freedom for his murderer. Now, I have been told that this particular video that's up, it appears to be AI, but there's several others, and a few of them are not passing the AI smell test, meaning that they may actually be real. There's a couple that were filmed in the middle of the night, it looks like, that may have been real videos of people hopping the fence at the cemetery and then going to piss on Austin Metcalf's grave. I mean, again, this is just deranged. It's disgusting.
Well,
Uh,
that
we can't
that is
tolerate this anymore.
that is sick, disgusting. That's criminal behavior. Again, these people should be located, should be prosecuted. That's desecrating a grave site. That's a crime, right? I mean,
Yeah.
desecrating a grave site is a crime.
Yes.
Trespassing, that's a crime, right? Hopping a fence, getting into a cemetery and doing that. And what kind of mentality is that? That is a dangerous, sick mentality. I would
Yeah.
hope it would be not prevalent in this country. I would hope these people are condemned by folks on all sides for doing this kind of sick craziness.
Yeah, well, the word is this weekend, there's in a lot of blue cities, they're supposed to have vigils for Carmelo Anthony. And I'm going to guess, at least in some of these cases, it's going to be vigils with a side of rioting, the usual fiery but mostly peaceful type protests. Now, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be wrong because there were a lot of people that were very concerned when the verdict came in that in Dallas or right outside Dallas, McKinney, Texas, that there were going to be riots or problems that night because a bunch of these blue-haired moonbat Antifa radicals had joined that same day up from Austin, and everybody knows they're out of control down there. But they thought there was going to be violence in the street then. Luckily, there was not. There were a few people arrested that got out of hand. I'll just be nice and say that after the verdict came in, but largely no real incident. But also, it's Texas, and these people know that. They're not going to tolerate it.
I want to give kudos to the jurors
Yeah.
who had the courage to render this verdict. And as you say, it wasn't an all-white jury. You had
No.
minorities that were on that jury,
Yeah.
and they weighed the evidence and made the right decision. It was overwhelming evidence, but they weren't intimidated by all of these threats, and that takes courage. And we certainly, I think, should commend them for doing their job, making the right decision, because obviously it was the right decision. The guy is
Yeah.
guilty, and he should be punished. 35 years in prison. I mean, he'll have some sort of a life. He'll get out middle aged. Who knows when he'll get out because they
Yeah.
was appealing the verdict. But the Metcalfs will never see their son again. They'll never be able to hug their son again. He's gone
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, I mean it's a tragedy no matter how you look at it. But yeah, 35 years really isn't enough. But I mean, I guess it's the best they could do. I'm glad the jury didn't take the bait because that was one of the other concerns early in the day. Is they changed the jury instructions at the last minute to potentially allow for a manslaughter charge instead of a murder charge, where he probably would have done about 5 years if that had gone through. But luckily, the jury said no, this is obviously homicide, and did adjudicate accordingly. And then 35 years again, like I don't think that's really enough for taking somebody's life, but at the he'll spend at least 17 years in jail. And I'm just guessing by his attitude, he's probably not getting out on good behavior at the halfway point, like would potentially be possible. Who knows? Maybe he'll turn things around, but I doubt it, especially not the way his family acts. And that's reflective of his upbringing, which is also probably why this whole thing occurred to begin with. That he was instilled with this victim mentality, despite being upper middle class family. This guy thought he was a victim, thought he has to fight back. Then Whitey's the oppressor, and that is what led to all this.
Fight back at what? I mean,
Yeah.
what? Not being allowed to stay in a tent. I mean, fight back from a guy maybe slightly shoving him or something. They're going to pull out a knife and kill him. I
Yeah.
mean, again, you got to look at his upbringing. You're right. I mean, how was he taught to interact with people of different races, to interact when you've somehow been touched? Are you going to pull out a knife and kill for that? I think this is indicative of what's going on across the country, where you
Mhm.
have incidents that maybe in the past, when I was growing up, you had fistfights in the park, and you settled it and it was done. And now
Yeah.
you have people pulling out knives and guns and trying to solve little minor disputes by killing someone.
Yeah.
It's
He felt
crazy.
disrespected. That's really what happened. That's the bottom line. Well,
Mhm.
let's try to sneak in here one last story before we go. I don't know if you saw this Act Blue CEO. Uh, what was it? 22 times she invoked the Fifth Amendment. Act Blue CEO Regina Wallace Jones invokes Fifth Amendment over 20 times in House Admin Committee hearing. She invoked the Fifth Amendment. They asked if she was Miss or Mrs. to get her name right. I mean, once again, I'm not making that up. This is Clown World. Terry Newsom, one of our hosts, was actually there for this and followed her out the door, asking her questions. It was great. But uh, Act Blue needs to be prosecuted. This is another thing that I'm upset with both the DOJ and the House and Senate on. We've been talking about this $800 million in potential illicit donations for over a year now, and we should have started this much sooner, and forced the DNC to pay back all the illicit donations that they received just to completely clean their clocks in this next election. I mean, it's not like they can raise money right now anyway. Um, After they paid off Kamala Harris's bar tab, I don't know, what do they have in the bank right now? It's like $10 million.
You know, uh, and just to follow up on what you said, you're so right. I mean, this should have been done day one,
Yeah,
January of 2025, January 21st. This should have been started.
yeah,
And now we're just getting around to it. And this has been going on for years. I mean, I've covered this years ago, where you have all these phony donations supposedly
yeah.
coming from, moderate, low income people making multiple donations that were not theirs. They were, funneling money through these people, foreign money, massive amounts of money,
Mm-hmm.
obviously illegal activity going on. Why there haven't been prosecutions on this, I don't know. Now we're finally having some hearings, but again, they're late. This should have been done much earlier, much more aggressive action against them. Obviously,
Yeah.
crimes being committed here, and they're allowed to get away with this kind of nonsense of taking the Fifth Amendment over and over and over again. And she looked like she was laughing. I mean, she looked like she was giddy in
Well, yeah.
that kind of response.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure she was. I'm sure she knows that there's no real effort to prosecute. That maybe she'll end up with a slap on the wrist. They probably won't go after her personally, though. Maybe they'll go after some of the illicit money, make them pay that back. But her whole legal team quit because part of the reason she was called in is because she signed a document stating that 3-page document that stating of all the procedures they had to um, screen out foreign donations. And again, as some Democrats pointed out, well, act or when Red also took some foreign donations. Yeah, but they handed them back over immediately. They canceled them once the credit card came in and they read the number and, see it's from, I don't know, Abu Dhabi or whatever. They send the money back. That's what you're supposed to do. Whereas apparently Act Blue was just pocketing it all, and then, as you said, they were smurfing the donations. They send it out to one-time small dollar donor. I mean, I love some of these videos. Again, hat tip to James O'Keefe, where he'd go out and be like, "Hey, Miss Parker, I see here that you donated $20 to so and so," and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, well, did you do that 600 times last month? And did you donate $28,000 to various Democrats?" And they just have this look on their face like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And
a person with a very limited means. I mean,
yes,
limited means, middle class, lower middle class don't have that kind of money. They maybe have enough money for a one-time $10 donation. But
yeah,
I mean, 600 donations of massive amounts of money. I mean,
yeah.
again, why hasn't that been immediately seized upon and prosecuted? That's obviously criminal.
Yeah, I mean, they had records showing some of these people were making 20 to 50 donations per day, every day, 7 days a week for months at a time. And yeah, they were all small dollar donations. I think it was mostly donations under 100, but it's obvious money laundering. They're putting them at low amounts and they're maxing out the individual on paper so that they can be compliant with the FEC. But everybody knows exactly what's going on. There are no doubt in anybody's mind. And just to take this a step further, now we've got a Clinton judge. That's now blocking Texas AG Paxton's lawsuit against Act Blue. How does this continue to happen? Why are there never any repercussions for anybody? And what makes this federal judge think that they have the power to step in and save them?
Democrats are protected by a lot of judges. A
Yeah.
lot of the judiciary is left wing. You see it in the lawfare against President Trump. What he's had to put up with. You see it in all the lawsuits against every executive order that he issues, where they try to stop the agenda that you and I voted for and 77 million Americans voted for. They're trying to negate the wishes of the voters, the election result in 2024. So yeah, whenever there's criminal behavior on the left, they try to protect that. Ken Paxton, of course, maybe the best AG in the country, doing what you would expect him to do, go after law-breaking evildoers. And they're trying to stop it, a judge, a Democrat appointed judge. So our judiciary is another major problem in this country.
Yeah, and that's another problem that Congress could fix, but chooses not to. They have the power to impeach these judges, but they are not acting, and it just takes the House, by the way. Jeff, I want to thank you for being here. Any words of wisdom we want to leave our audience with before we wrap things up?
Well, I just want to, thank you for having me and the good work you're doing. It's great to be part of your program. I think we just got to keep fighting and, got to keep spreading the word and motivating people. We need folks to be energized between now and the midterms. And, it's a very important midterm election that is coming up. And not only the Democrats, but the rhinos, we got to get rid of them so that we can get this agenda through that we voted for. And both groups are stopping that agenda from being implemented.
Exactly. It's time to actually drain the swamp to get rid of these problems. Do we ever want America to return to prosperity and back to our founding values? It's going to take some action and some sacrifice from all of us here. But yeah, I mean, everybody stay safe out there this weekend, whether you're here or whether you're in Europe, because we didn't get to it, but they're things there are they're getting fiery, but mostly peaceful, we'll just say, between what happened in Ireland, what's happened in the UK, and the residents there are sick and tired of it. It's amazing, too, to watch how this is covered versus like the BLM riots. This is, horrible and should never happen. And there are a bunch of racist nativists and whatever. But, violence is the voice of the unheard if you're on the left. So
what should never happen is a guy who tried to help someone move into a neighborhood who's disabled almost get beheaded.
Yeah.
What should never happen to that guy should never be in that country in the first place. So, I mean, people are fired up. They're angry, and they're taken to the streets in Ireland. And what happened with Henry Novak in the UK is just horrible. So, yeah, people, I think, have had enough over there.
Well, that's the bottom line, because these cases are the ones that were the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, this has been ongoing. It's practically a joke about wearing your stab vest on the metro in London. And it's finally gotten to a point where it's unacceptable. I mean, I know somebody personally, a guest that we've had on. I don't know if he wants me to reveal who it is, but so I'll just leave his name out of it. And his family had lived in London for 500 years. He just moved out a few months ago because he finally felt like it's not safe there, not safe for his kids anymore. So we deserve to have, yeah. The West deserves to have their countries too. You can't import infinity third world migrants and expect to keep things the same way. They are not part of your culture. They don't share your values, and they are there to disrupt and take, rape, and pillage all they can.
The majority of people do not want it to continue, but these elites are still allowing it to continue for whatever reason, political, business reasons, whatever. But they're destroying these countries in the process.
Well, diversity is our strength, Jeff. Don't you know that? I'm pretty sure unity is our strength. And it isn't, before anybody says anything, it's not about the color of anybody's skin or whatever. It's about shared values and shared culture. And they have a right to exist. The people, citizens of the UK have a right to their culture. Citizens of Ireland or Scotland or Germany or wherever else, people are sick and tired of this. But again, thank you for being here, Jeff. Thank you to our audience for joining us today. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. And I'll be back on Monday with even more.